tools that we're going to use is the wall when we're working on handstands, and we're going to use it a couple of different ways, but this first one is going to be kicking up to the wall, the sort of classic kick up. And first of all, we just have to get used to that movement of getting our feet and legs above our head and what that actually feels like to be upside down. And if you've never done it before, we're going to show you super progressive ways to do that, and George is going to show us a couple of options. First being starting with your hands on the floor. Hands need to be a little space away, like sort of 30 centimeters or something, just enough space that your head has got some room rather than your head hitting the wall when you go into it. Split stance position, and she's just going to try, if you've never done it before, just getting used to little hops. You're going to have one leg that's going to feel better to have as the kicking leg. So for Georgie there, it's the right one. For some of you, it might be the left. But progressively just getting used to kicking up more and more and more until you eventually can hit the wall. That's sort of option one that uses the least amount of momentum. If Georgie comes back down and shows us what a sort of step into would be, you just have to make sure you've got your target of where you're going to put your hands on the floor. It's similar, you've got that space for your head, and this allows you to get a little bit more momentum because you've got your whole body moving into it. So your hands would go up, we come down to the floor, kick and come through. That might be something once you've built enough confidence. But one thing with it, if Georgie just shows us one more, is that momentum that's going to help get those hips up on top of the shoulders helps you get into this position so we can practice being upside down and getting used to it. You can come back down. But what it does mean is longer term, if that's the way you always get up into your handstands, that you're using momentum to get there, it means once you get there and you want to eventually do it without the wall, there's a lot of momentum for you to stop. So that's just something to consider. Can we get to the point where we can do it with the hands on the floor to start with and not using as much momentum as possible? Final thing I want us to look at is once you do manage to get up there and against the wall, what we want to try and do. So once George is there, rather than being sort of slumped down through the shoulders, we want to, and the back arch, she's going to try and push the floor away and straighten up. So we're going to see the feet lift up towards the wall, and we're going to see the body stay in as straight a line as possible. Then a head position. So rather than looking back towards the camera, we want to be trying to look at a spot just in between our hands, and we're going to try and do that as much as we can through looking up through our eyelids, rather than extending the neck to find there. When you extend the neck, it's going to encourage you to extend your spine as well. Cool, George, come back down. So rather than extending the neck to look between, we're going to try and keep the head as neutral as possible and look through the eyelids to find that spot that's in between my hands. That gives you a point of reference to focus on that's really nice and close to you, and that's going to help you with your balance ultimately when we start to build up that. So think about how we get up there, build up progressively. Once you're there, long, strong, and then looking at the space between your hands through your eyelids. And that's setting you up to use the kick up. And we're going to show you a series of ways we're going to use that as one of the variations to help build up our time in a handstand, as well as the ability to balance.